All right, so it looks like it is about a couple minutes past the start time here. We're going to go ahead and get started. And I just want to thank you everyone for joining today's webinar, Measurable Engagement. So using data to prove the ROI of the recognition program. And then I'm going to go ahead and introduce myself. I am Sam Wongsa. Many of you may know me as either Samantha or Sam. And I have been with Recognize for about 1.5 years as a customer success manager and onboarding specialist. And then I'll go ahead and pass it to my colleague here.
Hi, everyone. For those of you who I have not met, my name is Brittany Espinoza. I am the Senior Customer Success Manager here at Recognize, and I have been having fun with recognition programs at Recognize for almost 3 years now. And we're really excited today to be talking to you guys about engagement metrics and proving that ROI of your recognition program.
Awesome. All right, so today's focus, we're going to explore key metrics that help drive engagement, retention, and program success. So we're going to walk through how to use dashboards, which will help you visualize data and identifies trends that kind of help you shape a more effective recognition program. So we're going to go ahead and get started, and I believe Brittany is going to kick it off with the first slide here.
Yeah, so I want to kick this off by pointing out one of the 7 best practice standards that are outlined by recognized professional internationals. I'm going to swap over just to give a quick view of the article that I'm referring to. And Sam will drop this article in the chat. We're not going to go over the entire article today, but I do recommend taking a look at it. It's got some really great information on just running a recognition program overall. The one we're going to focus on today is recognition program measurement, because that one's really relevant to the topic that we're covering today. So what this does is it gives you an outline of the different aspects of your recognition program that you should be measuring. So, the first one is the implementation. So if you are just launching your rewards program or working on launching your program, or if you've recently launched your program, you're going to want to take a look at different metrics that can measure the success of the implementation of that program. So that can include the training that happened, how well the communication of the program was, and just the overall presentation of the program. And then next, you're going to want to look at participation. So this can be anywhere from when you launch the program, how quickly employees are logging on and activating their accounts, to how quickly they start engaging with the platform and how often they engage with the platform. And that can be anywhere from setting their own recognitions or interacting with the stream page. If you have other aspects of your program, such as a nomination strategy or a task strategy, how are they engaging with those initiatives? And of course, we will go into later the different things and recognize that you can look at to measure that participation. The next one is employee satisfaction. And so this is really just a sentiment, getting to know, if your employees are satisfied with the program, if they're satisfied with their job overall, and really measuring the correlation between the recognition program and employee happiness. And again, we'll talk a little bit more about that a little bit later in the webinar. And then the last one is productivity. So measuring how the programs improve productivity and organizational effectiveness. So really looking at some of those metrics when you start a recognition program, and measuring the impact over time as your recognition program grows. So these are really great standards to kind of start with, and we're going to really dive into how Recognize dashboards and reporting can help you measure these different aspects of your recognition program.
Thank you, Brittany. And so everyone knows we will also be holding a Q&A session at the end of the presentation. So please feel free to drop any questions you may have in the Q&A box throughout the presentation, and we'll address those at the end. All right, so we're going to get into understanding the company admin dashboard and key metrics to track. So the company admin dashboard is an extremely powerful tool to help you track engagement. And I'm going to go over one by one the key metrics that we recommend monitoring and tracking. So user activation rate, and I believe Brittany is just going to share the screen here with you so you guys have an idea of which metrics I'm covering here. So user activation rates, this is how you can measure employees who have activated their accounts and are actively participating in the program, as well as kind of see which users are still pending and need to activate. It's important to track these because low activation rates can help you indicate if you need a better onboarding process or perhaps a better way of communicating the program if you just launched. So if activation rates are low, you can kind of use this to consider sending perhaps activation reminders or email reminders, or maybe you want to start incorporating a tutorial with your onboarding process for your new employees. All right. And then the next metric is trends over time that you want to track. So this will help you monitor the frequency of recognition sent, received, also help identify fluctuations in engagement. This is great to track because it helps you measure employee morale and the effectiveness of your recognition program. For example, if you see that engagement has dropped, you can maybe consider adding new initiatives like themed recognition weeks, or if a holiday is coming up, pushing a certain initiative for that. So you could see here, recognitions. We have a kind of quick overview of a, time over time. Now, the next thing I also want to touch base with on the company admin portal here, or I'm sorry, admin dashboard, is the comments and reaction and likes section. So this allows you to track how employees interact with the recognitions and the posts to help gauge overall involvement. It will ensure that recognitions are meaningful and not just like a one-way acknowledgement. So a use case for this is it can actually kind of help encourage your staff and managers, especially encourage managers to kind of lead by example by actively commenting and reacting to posts. And then we'll kind of get more into the details of pulling reports and gauging the reporting on this a little later on in the webinar. So the next metric I want to touch base with is top employees. So top employees, this section will help you identify employees who are most engaged or least engaged with the platform, and kind of identify those who are contributing to your recognition efforts. It's important to track this because this actually can help you recognize those top contributors, and that can actually help boost engagement because maybe you want to highlight those top employees in a company-wide announcement or reward them with incentives, which will then kind of trickle down to those least engaged and get them interested and wanting to be part of that highlight as well. And you could see here, you can actually filter that data by received and sent, and actually seeing the points for those top employees. And then the next tab I'm going to get into here is engagement. So engagement helps you assess how employees and leaders are participating and encouraging recognition within teams. So engagement, if you see where Brittany's clicking here, you can actually see the engagement participation by team, department. If you're an international company, you can actually filter that by country. I'm sorry, an international company, yep, by country, and then by manager. So a lot of customers will actually use this engagement tab to filter and measure manager engagement. The reason you want to do that is because leadership buy-in is extremely crucial for program success. Because if the managers are not bought in, then and they're not engaging, why should the employees and direct reports? Also, this kind of helps you gauge if you need to consider a leadership training program on recognition or incentivize them to use the program as well. All right, and the next tab I'm going to get into here is RES. So what RES stands for is Recognition Engagement Score. And this helps you evaluate overall program effectiveness and participation and its impact that it's having on your company culture and your company. This is very important to track because it helps determine, if employees are being reached and feeling valued and motivated by the program. You can use this data to kind of refine any type of reward structures you may have or adjust any type of program messaging. So where you see here, there's a breakdown where you could see the yearly RES, quarterly, or monthly. And where you see by recipient, so that translates into how many of your users are being reached by your recognition platform and have received at least one recognition. And on the other end, by sender, how many of your users are engaged with and participating in the platform and sent at least one recognition. All right, perfect. And then we do have our usage tab here, which is essentially raw data that you can see with a time over time period. And of course, I'll go over how you can pull that data report, but this is available for you guys if you want to see all that raw data as well. Right. And then we're going to go ahead and get into the next slide here. So analyzing data and identifying trends. So this is understanding trends and engagement to help strengthen your program. So here are some things just to kind of look for. Participation patterns. So examining how various teams and departments and employees or managers engage with the platform to find strength and areas for improvement. So this will help ensure the recognition is happening consistently across the organization. So if one department has low participation, maybe you want to consider a department-specific recognition initiative. Or, if you want to share the department or team participation throughout the organization, kind of help boost that engagement and kind of create a little bit of friendly competition, you could always consider doing that as well. And then Brittany is going to go ahead and also drop a very helpful link to you as well. So you can kind of review, recognize KPIs and metrics. So the other thing you want to look at for analyzing data, Brittany, if you don't mind just going back real quick. I'll just make this very quick here. When you analyze the data, it's also going to help you spot gaps in engagement. So you can use this to ensure that the program is fair and inclusivity in the recognition process, especially with those companies who are remote. Because if remote employees have lower engagement, maybe you want to consider introducing a virtual recognition event to help boost that engagement. And then the last thing is compare trends over time. So analyzing the recognition patterns over different time periods to determine the effectiveness of program initiatives. This will help provide insight into whether certain initiatives are working. And you could use that data to compare the impact of new program launches versus prior performance. So kind of help revamping your program. I'm going to go ahead and drop that KPI link for you guys. Right. Thanks for going back there, Brittany.
Sorry, I was just really eager to talk about dynamic roles and dynamic teams.
I know, it's very exciting. So Brittany's going to get into a really exciting feature we have here for you guys.
Yeah, so Sam was talking a lot about the different things that you can look at in the recognized dashboards in terms of which employees and teams are the most engaged and least engaged. Of course, to be able to filter down those metrics, it's really important to have the best, most relevant data for your employees inside of Recognize to really help you be able to get a good, accurate look at how different teams and different groups in your organization are performing. So, she talked about things like department, teams, roles, country, and those are all great attributes to have into Recognize. And if you're an enterprise customer or have purchased a custom field add-on, you can also add in some of your own custom attributes into Recognize as well. What I'm going to talk about right now is dynamic roles and dynamic teams, because there's two attributes in Recognize that are really the most useful for being able to filter down different reports in Recognize, and that's going to be roles and teams. So we have, of course, if you're feeding in some data like country or like department, there is now a way to basically sync those existing attributes into either a role or a team, so that you can better use those attributes for filter down reporting. So there's a couple differences in whether you want to use roles or teams, and I'll talk briefly about that, but I want to kind of swap over to my test account to do so. So as you can see, like if we come here to the top employees page that Sam was talking about, we've got filter by team or filter by role. So let's say we want to look at the results by department, and we're being fed department data for your organization. We want to get that department data synced with either a team or a role so that we can use these filters. Now, when you're deciding whether you want to sync it to a team or sync it to a role, there's really the main difference is if you sync it to a team, it's end user facing, so end users will be able to see that information. If you sync it to a role, it's just for admin view. Regular general users wouldn't be able to see that role information. So that's really the main difference. Role is also used in addition to the reporting. Role is also used as a permissioning attribute. So if you're creating certain badges or certain nominations or tasks that are only going to be available for a group of people in your organization, you would be able to set those permissions by role. So that's another difference. But just in terms of reporting, really the main difference is general users will be able to see the teams and who's part of the teams, whereas the role feature, they would not be able to. So I'm just going to briefly go into our two, and this may look a little bit different than what you have seen before, because we did have a little bit of an update recently. So we now have this Teams tab and this Roles tab, and so they work very similarly. If we go into Roles, for example, you'll be able to see all of the existing roles in your organization, and these can be these are going to be roles that are created as custom roles, not dynamic roles. Dynamic roles meaning synced from a different attribute or an existing attribute. If we go over to dynamic roles, you can see any roles that are already syncing over. So this would be the name of the role, and then the sync source is the attribute that it's coming from. So in this example, we have an attribute for job title, and we're syncing that attribute over to a role. So we're turning the job title into a role. And then over here in settings, you've got all of your options, and you just toggle on the ones that you want to sync into a role. So if I'm sending over country data for my employees and I want to turn that into a role, I would just toggle this on. And Teams is going to work the exact same way. So again, you can see custom teams created here. Any teams that are created via dynamic teams or coming from another attribute would show up here. And then to choose which attributes you want to sync into teams, you would just go to the settings and toggle on. And again, if you were pushing custom fields, those would also show up here, and you'd be able to sync the custom field into the team attribute as well. So that is dynamic roles is not new, but dynamic teams is new. So we really wanted to cover that because I think that a lot of existing customers or those of you who have had recognition programs for a little while now may be pushing some of these attributes like country or department, and we can now really make those attributes more useful for you in terms of drill down reporting. So that is what I have for dynamic roles and dynamic teams. I'm going to hop back over here to pulling recognition reports.
Thank you, Brittany. I don't know what happened to my camera. Do you mind?
I'll figure it out.
Thank you. All right. So how to pull recognition reporting. So we're just going to do a brief overview just so everybody kind of knows what reporting is where, how to pull that, how to generate those. And it's obviously those data insights are going to help leadership and HR teams, kind of make informed decisions on how to use this recognition and reporting to help enhance their recognition platforms. So generating reports, we're going to go ahead and hop over back to the company admin portal. So a couple things I do want to note here is if you guys are not familiar yet, we did add this new feature next to all of these boxes, a little donut chart. So this actually, if you hover over it, this actually gives you guys a great idea of how your employees are actually engaging with the platform. And for those of you who are using any type of integrations or have frontline workers who use the mobile app, you can see if, maybe how well that Teams integration is working. Where you see API, those are going to be those integrations like, mobile apps, Slack, things like that. And then also you see at the upper left of the dashboard here of all that data, you can actually filter all this data by a time period. So that will kind of help you identify that all the trends time over time. So you can compare the data based off of whichever time frame you choose. In top employees, you'll be able to actually, again, filter the data by team, by role. If you want to see how effective a specific badge is, perhaps you're pushing an initiative for a certain badge, you can do that. And then you can filter all that data to see how many people have received it, if how many people have not actually received it. And you can export this to a CSV file. So this data is exportable for everybody. Now over on the engagement side, I know we touched base on this as we were going over the company admin dashboard. You can filter this by role, team, department, country, manager. And again, you have the option to filter this data by a specific date range, and then you can export that data from there. Same thing with the usage tab. You can export all of that raw data, and then feel free to parse out whatever you need, create any type of pivot tables. So that is all there for you. And the next reporting I want to go over is recognition reporting. Just so everybody has an idea of how they can actually, again, we give you the option to do a specific date range. And we have added all of these filters. So if you want to filter this, maybe you want to see a specific team's recognitions or department, or you want to see the sending team, you can filter the data from here. Now you want to, of course, make sure you have all of your filters in, your time frame, and then go ahead and export your file, which is a different tab here. Now, very important, I always like to mention this. You could do CSV or Excel. Now, where you see this little show entry, I would recommend filtering that to show all recognitions. That way it downloads all of that data at one time for you. And all of your reporting will be downloaded into the documents section, which is just above the settings there. So that's where you'll be able to find all of your reports. And if needed, you can upload files from here as well. Right. Perfect. So that is pulling some reporting. And of course, if anybody has any questions, please feel free to drop that in the Q&A and we can address those at the end of the presentation.
Sorry, I guess I have to unmute myself. So the next piece that I want to talk about is measuring employee satisfaction. And we're really excited to announce that we will actually be launching a survey product within Recognize. And with that survey, we're going to include things like EMPS, as well as employee happiness survey templates, where you can measure sentiment. So basically gauging the employees' feelings about recognition programs, as well as just their overall feelings of their job in the company as a whole. You'll be able to track engagement. So monitoring how the recognition impacts employee engagement and retention. You'll be able to identify gaps, so you can gather feedback to look at areas of improvement in the program. This is a great way to kind of use the custom survey feature to ask the questions. I always like to say that employees who feel like they had a hand in the recognition program and feel like their feedback matters and how the recognition program is ran are going to be more bought in. So this is going to be a great way to check in with your employees and or your managers, ask them what types of badges or initiatives they'd like to see in the recognition program, find out what they like most about the recognition program, maybe what they don't like about the recognition program. And this is going to be really huge in making informed decisions for your recognition program. So you no longer have to go in blind guessing what your employees want in a recognition program. You're going to be able to gather that feedback right within Recognize. And then you'll also be able to quantify the success using different data points that will be offered. So I want to go in real quick. Let me make sure I have the right. I just want to do a little sneak peek of what the survey product is going to look like. And this is from the user perspective. So this is, if there are active surveys for the employee to complete, they would see a little survey tab up here. We can go ahead and take the employee net promoter score survey. And this just is as simple as going to this page. I can go ahead and choose which rating. As you can see, if you're familiar with Net Promoter Score, there's a concept of detractors, promoters, and passive employees or customers if you're just doing Net Promoter Score. And as you can see here, the follow-up question changes based on whether I'm answering as a detractor, a promoter, or a promoter or a passive. And so there will be a follow-up question that is optional that they can answer. And then once they complete the survey, those results are sent to the company admin portal. You will also be able to choose from some employee engagement templates that we have already created out. And so those will look similar to this. And then there will also be custom survey options as well, where you can edit and create your own questions and different types of questions as well. I'm not going to go into too much detail, but I will give you a little sneak peek of what the interface looks like. So if I wanted to create a new survey, I can use an existing template, or I can create a custom survey. And here's where I can give my survey a title. Oops. And then I can start to add questions, and then you can see there's different types of questions that you can use. So very cool. You can edit the questions. So this is super exciting for us. And we are actually looking to launch a survey beta program very soon. And we are looking for some of our most engaged customers to test this product out for us. We really value our customers' feedback in what they're looking for in a survey product. And we'd like to hear from you after testing our product, what works well, what you'd like to see, and really just give us your feedback. There is going to be a survey at the end of this webinar. And within that survey, there's going to be a question asking if you would like some more information on our survey beta program. You're not committing to being a part of it yet. You're just letting us know that you're interested, and we can get you some additional information. So if you are interested in participating in the beta program and you haven't already let us know, go ahead and pop in your name and the company that you work for in that survey, and we'll be happy to get you some more information about that. But something that we're really excited about and hoping to get launched for everybody very soon. I am going to pop over, oops, not that way. So we can go ahead and start with the Q&A now. So if there are any questions that you have or things that you'd like us to circle back to, we do have a little bit of time left. Go ahead and pop those right into the Q&A section.
I am so sorry. I don't know what happened with my camera, but I'm here. Yathu had a question about the survey, so that was awesome that you
Perfect.
demoed.
Links. So I have a question here for where to find the links. The links are going to be in the chat section. So find the chat section and all of the links. We've got the RPI article. We've got our links for the company admin dashboard and key metrics, as well as some other helpful links in there as well.
Let me see. Is anybody else having issues with viewing those links in the chat?
Interesting. Here's what we'll do. We will go ahead and pop the links in a follow-up email. You guys are going to get an email with the recording of the webinar, so you can circle back if you need to. And we will also drop the links in there as well so that you guys have those.
All right. Well, thank you for letting us know that wasn't showing up.
Any other questions? All right. Well, thank you, everyone, so much for attending the webinar. I hope that there was some value provided. And if you do come up with any questions after the call, please don't hesitate to reach out either directly to your customer success manager, or you can always reach out directly to support@recognizeapp.com. We're always here to help with your reporting needs or any other needs that you have. So I hope everybody has a wonderful rest of your day, and we will see you in the next webinar.
Thank you, everybody. Bye.